Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you once again for the online live stream Kabbalat Shabbat. This Shabbat Re'eh, and also, of course, Rosh Chodesh Elul. So I want to share a couple of thoughts. We'll start with Re'eh, and at the end, we'll talk about Elul for a moment. So if I had £1 for every time somebody has said to me in my nearly 20 years in the rabbinate, Rabbi, you know, it says in the Torah you have to keep a kosher home, I could probably afford to pay my energy bills. It does not use the word home. It says you have to eat kosher food. And yet everyone's very good at telling us, oh, you know, you have to keep kosher home, to eat kosher at home. I don't press this too much in my sermons because I feel that eventually people say, you know what, Rabbi, you're right. Since we don't eat kosher when we go out, we won't eat kosher at home either. But this notion of that you only have to keep a kosher home, no basis. The Torah says you have to eat kosher food. Anyway, so we all know what is kosher food. Kosher animal has to have split hooves and chew the cud. Now, the kashrut laws we know are something called a chok. That's a law that we're not given any logical, rational reason for, something we do out of duty and observance and obedience to Hashem, to the Almighty. Nonetheless, everything in Judaism has multiple levels of layers of understanding. So with the caveat that I think it famously says, if God told us to eat pigs, we would eat pigs, but he told us not to, so we don't. So therefore, not only do we not eat pigs, we do eat cows and sheep, but we make up nice droshes, nice divrei Torah, and we share ideas about them as well. So what do we learn from kosher animals? We're supposed to learn something from everything we see. What do we learn from a kosher animal? So a kosher animal has to have a split hoof, and it has to chew the cud. Okay? So what is a split hoof? The hoof connects the animal to the ground. It's important to be grounded. Right? You can't be someone who's got no grasp on reality. Right? And if you were until now, certainly, unfortunately, with the challenges we all face, cost of living and other things, certainly we're all going to very quickly have to wake up and become grounded in reality. Right? We don't want people in Judaism that are just living on a mountaintop in their own world, in a spiritual existence. You're supposed to live in the real world. Right? Person says, I want to keep Shabbat every day. No. You're supposed to work for 6 days, and the seventh day you rest. But 6 days you should work. Right? Working includes making a living, putting a roof over your head, paying your bills. So we have to live in the real world. And a lot of mitzvot involve the physical world around us, right? Judaism is not a faith that says you have a choice of either material life or a spiritual existence removed from reality. We do mitzvot in this world, and we transform this world into a dwelling place for God. So on the one hand, we have to be grounded. We have to live in reality. On the other hand, if you're completely grounded and only material, and your only connection is one, you're earthed, as it were, but you have no connection above, then you're missing the point of existence as well. You know, the Shabbat before a wedding, we call a bridegroom up to the Torah for an ufruf. In Yiddish means a call up. And one of the reasons for that is that, maybe it's different nowadays, but back in the day when you got married, you were young, you lived with your parents until then, and you basically moved out of your parents' home. And when you got married, this meant suddenly you had to face the reality of paying a mortgage and paying bills and putting bread on the table. And so as a young man is about to be faced with all these responsibilities, we say to him, hold on a moment. Remember, there is more to life than just paying the bills and having a roof over your head. We call you to the Torah to make a blessing and to celebrate and to remember that Judaism has higher ideals as well. So kosher animal is one with a split hoof. It's connected to the ground, but there's also a separation. It's not only grounded, but there's a separation. There's a higher purpose as well. That is the approach, the kosher approach to life. We shouldn't shy away from the world around us, but at the same time, we have to have a little bit of distance. We have to know that there's a higher purpose to life. As for chewing the cud, well, it's very simple. It means you regurgitate your food. You don't just say the first thing that comes to your mind, but you chew it over first. It's a good value to have as a kosher animal, is not to just say the first thing that comes to your mind, no matter how much pain or suffering that may cause, or how inappropriate it may be, but to think very carefully and to measure your words before you speak. So just something we learn from kosher animals in this week's Hedra. To be grounded in reality, but at the same time, to have a higher calling and purpose as well, and to realize the world around us is there to serve God, and not to just spit out the first thing that comes to mind, but to chew it over and think about it first. Okay. Later on, I'd like to share some thoughts about Elul, but for now, we'll do Kabbalat Shabbat. So please turn to page 256 if you're using a Singer's Prayer Book, and please join me. Yedid nefesh av harachaman Meshoich avdecha el retzoinecha Yarutz avdecha k'mo ayal yishtachaveh el mol hadarecha yerablo yedidoisecha minoi fetzuf b'chol ta'am hador noeh ziv ha'olam nafshi chaylas avasecha ana elna refana la Baharois la Noam zivacha Al tischazek Besis rapei Bahayis Allah Simcha soilam Basig yemuna Rachamecha V'chusana al benahu becha ki ze kama nisoy nisavti lirois v'siferes uzecha eilechamda libi V'chusana v'yalti salam higalena Ufrois chavivi alai esukas shaloi mecha ta'ireret michvoidecha Nagila v'nismachavach Maherehoim kivamoed b'choneinu kimei olam Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Ananai nai 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 Lachun ranan aladinoi Nari alatoy shainu Nakamafana Masega Bismiros Nari alag Yoganoi ladino verganalo kola Yemishabi and the Mekaret Misarim lo shalo Yobuazan Kolain manachna marisa Evetsoy yadayim V'kola tishmahu Takshun leval kan gimnima Kimsaba miba Shenisuni avaisechem Chanuni amruvoli Arba'im shana Akumador V'imar amtelei V'aveim V'heim Lo yodirachai Asher nishbati miyapi Im yivayon El Menuchasi, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kala Aretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemai, Basru Miyayim Layayim Yeshuasai, Tapru Vagoyim, Kalaydai, Bechol La'amim, Nifloi Sav, Ki Gadei Ladonai, Umahulam Mayayin, Nairahu, Al Kol Elohim, Ein, Ki Kol Elohim, Avamim Elilim, V'Adonai Shemayim Asa, Hoyd V'Hada, Lefanav V'Siferes, B'Mikdashai, Havu L'Adonai, Mishpachai Samim, Havu L'Adonai, Kavod V'Ois, Havu L'Adonai, Kavod Shemai, Sayu Mincha, Uvanyu L'Chatzroi Savaynai, Ishachavu L'Adonai, B'Hadras Kodesh, Chilu Mipanav, Kol Ha'aretz, Imru V'Goyim, Adonai Malach, Atikon Tevel, Ba'al Timoi, Yodinamim, B'Meisharim, Yismachu Hashemayim, V'Sagel Ha'aretz, Yeramayan, Umalayai, Yaloi Sadai, B'chol Hashebo, Ein, Oz Yeramnu Kolat Seyawa, Lipnei Adonai Kiva, Lishboi Ta'aretz, Yishboi Tevel B'Tzedek, V'yamim B'Emunasai, Here Marakam take the rose of Daman Red, are you caught the no master, Milipay, Lord, Guy, who have him covered, Yeva should call like they pass on him. Shama Batis Maxion, Vertagel Nabanais Yehuda, Laman Mishpatech Awadai, Kiata Dinoy Elyoin, Al Koloret, Vainale, so I'll call Elohim, Avadinoy Sinura, Shoymena Shoys Chasidam, Miyan, Rishaim Yatzilei, Mor, Zaru Alatzadik, Uli Shaylei Simcha, Simchu, Tzadikim Badinoi, V'hoidu L'Zecher Kotshoi, page 262, Miz Moshe L'Shir Chadash, Niflois Hazo Shilei Minazor Kotshoi, Hode Adonai Yeshua, so the name of Yiminati, Kaso Zochel, Hazo Mezel Vesu, Chazer, Tezi Shoseleinu, Ariel Adonai, Koloretz, Visnumanim, Zamei, Rizamino, Chino V'Kazim Ra, Chatzei Zos V'Kol Shoi Barin, Ifnei Melech Adonai, Yiram Hayam, Umlayoi, Tevel V'Yoy Sheva, Neharos Yimcha Uchach, Yachad Harim, Yiram Neinu, Livnei Adonai Kiva, Lishmoi Toretz, Yishboi Teva B'Tzedek, V'yamim V'Meisharim, Adonai V'Lakim Zuhamim Yeshim. Yedishim L'Akadom V'Nerkadesh V'Yeshim. Rema Adina L'Ishtach V'Ladem Raglal Kadesh V'Yeshim. V'Amudanan
Yidaber aleim, Shomru eidoisom, B'choy nosan lamoy, Adonai Eloheinu, Ata v'nisom, El noisei Yisalahem, V'noi keim alaliloisom, Roi mamu, Adonai Eloheinu, Mishtachavu l'har kodshoy, Ki kadosh, Adonai Eloheinu. Mizmor leDavid, Havu l'Adonai le'elim, Havu l'Adonai, Kavod v'ozaynai, Havu l'Adonai, Kavod shemoish, Havu l'Adonai, Baras kodesh, Koi l'Adonai, Alamoyim, Ela kavod hirim, Adonai, Amayim rabim, Kol Adonai, Ba'koyachaynai, Kol Adonai, Be'adar, Kol Adonai, Shomer arazim, Shaber Adonai, Yesar zeyalavanai, Vayarkidei kamovein, Levanavoin, Basirion, kamovein, Ben Re'im Mimainai, Koi Ladoinai, Koi Tev Lavaisesh, Koi Ladoinai, Yachil Midbar, Yachil Ladoinai, Midbar Kodesh, Koi Ladoinai, Yachil Elayalois, Vayechesovoim, Yarois, Uveichalovoim, Kulovoi Merkavoid, Einai, Abdoinoi, Lemavul Yoshem Vayeshem Adonai, Melech Mioilam, Adonai, Niamo Yitain Adonai, Yevarech Zamoy Vashalayim, Einai, Anai,
That's what we do L'chadodi on page 266. We'll pause as we do before the last verse. Boy Shalom, please do that after you've lit candles later. So we'll pause before Boy Shalom, share a few words before we sign off. L'chadodi is on page 266.
L'chadodi l'kras kala, P'nei Shabbos l'Kabbalah, L'chadodi l'kras kala, P'nei Shabbos l'Kabbalah, Shamov zachor v'dibor echad, Hishmiyanu elam yuchad, Adonai yechad u'shma yechad, L'shem tiferes v'l'sila, L'chadodi l'kras kala, P'nei Shabbos l'Kabbalah, L'chadodi l'kras kala, P'nei Shabbos l'Kabbalah, L'kras Shabbos l'chuvan elcha, Ki makor habracha, Me'rosh mikedem nesucha, Soif maseh b'ma Shabbat chila, L'chadodi l'kras kala, P'nei Shabbos l'Kabbalah, L'chadodi l'kras kala, P'nei Shabbos l'Kabbalah, Mikdash melech melucha, Kumitzai mitoich hafecha, Rav l'sheves b'yemek habacha, V'hu yachmol alaychem la, לכבדי לקראת קלה פני שבס לקבלה לכבדי לקראת קלה פני שבס לקבלה הסנערים מעפר קומי לבשי מגדי ספרתך עמי על יד בן ישי בייס לחמי קובל אל נפשי גאלה לכבדי לקראת קלה פני שבס לקבלה לכבדי לקראת קלה פני שבס לקבלה היסייררי כי באיירי קומי איירי אורי אורי שידברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לכבדי לקראת קלה פני שבס לקבלה לכבדי לקראת קלה פני שבס לקבלה לא יסייבשי ולא יסקלמי מה תשתכחי ומה תמי ברוך יחסו אני ימי פנים נשא ויראתי לה איי לכבדי לקראת קלה פני שבס לקבלה והיו למשיסה שבוי סייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יוסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמסייס חסן על קלה איי לכבדי לקראת קלה פני שבס לקבלה ימין ושמאל תפרייתי מיס אדוני תריתי על ידי איש בן פרתי ונשמחה ונגילה איי לכבדי לקראת קלה פני שבס לקבלה.
Just before we sign off, just to share a thought, tonight and tomorrow and Sunday is Rosh Chodesh Elul, so we're already getting into the high holiday season. It's customary, certainly from now, when you see someone, to wish them a good year, even though it's a month before Rosh Hashanah. In fact, we just put out a poster for our shul reminding people about Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Said save the date. I think Lisa's on actually watching. She was quite bemused by that. But, just reminding people. So in the spirit of our shul being a bronze eco synagogue, we always recycle jokes. So apologies for those who know this joke. But tell the story of the Jewish fellow who went to visit his mother. And she's moved to a new building. So she phones him. She says, Yankel, don't forget my new address. It's 150 High Street. He says, I know, Mum, don't worry. I know, I've got it written down safely and securely, she says. And, when you get to the front gate, says, use your elbow to buzz the buzzer for flat 3, and I'll let you in. And then open the door with your knee and come in. And don't go up the stairs. You'll get a heart attack going up 6 flights of stairs to my flat. She says, press the button on the lift, use your other elbow, and then, use your knee to hold the door open. And when you get to my door, just use your shoulder to bang on the door, and I'll let you in. He says, Mum, we don't have COVID regulations anymore. Don't worry. Besides, I'm very clean. I wash my hands all the time. She says, no, nothing to do that. He says, so tell me why I have to use my elbow, my knee. She says, well, you're not coming empty-handed, surely. So many of us wake up, suddenly Rosh Hashanah, save the date. Oh, it's Rosh Hashanah, go to shul, which is great. But actually, really, Rosh Hashanah is the end of the process, and Yom Kippur is the final end of the process. The process begins, you could say, every day, but certainly it begins with the month of Elul. The month of Elul is the lead up to Rosh Hashanah. We're supposed to examine our deeds. We hear the shofar every day to inspire us. We add additional prayers, and then, of course, we have selichot for the last week and a half till when we get to Rosh Hashanah. In theory, we're not coming empty-handed, but we have many gifts in our hands. So it all starts here. It starts tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday with Rosh Chodesh Elul, getting into the high holiday spirit and starting to think about what we need to do for the year ahead. And if we make good use of this month, please God, all of us should be blessed with a much needed, happy, healthy, successful, safe, and prosperous New Year. And I just want to end with a few Mazel Tovs, because it's always good to have simchas. I only know the ones in my own community, in my family, but really shout out to anyone who's celebrating a simcha. So first of all, happy anniversary to my dear parents, who are marking their 53rd wedding anniversary this week. Wish them good health and gesund and a happy anniversary. Also to Esther and Lionel, who are celebrating 5 years of marriage with Kiddush and Ashul tomorrow. Also Mazel Tov to Jamie and Jess, who got married last week. Wish them lots of simchas, please God, and good health and happiness together. And finally, Mazel Tov to Oli and Ben, who I had the privilege of being at their marriage last summer, who just gave birth to a baby boy last week. So we wish Mazel Tov to them, to their grandparents, the Kaisner and the Phillips families, and all those celebrating simchas. I'm sure I've missed somebody out, but Mazel Tov to those celebrating simchas. Wish long life to those marking yahrzeits. We wish refuah shlema to those who have challenges in their health. And please God, we should all have good news and simchas, and wish everyone Shabbat Shalom, Chodesh Tov. May you all be inscribed and written in the book of life this year for a good year, a healthy year, and a prosperous year. Thank you for joining us.